Stephen Miller and Donald Trump seem to have a little bit of a plan. I don't know if you guys remembered in the first month or so of Trump's second term here, they were floating the idea of opening up Guantanamo Bay to put in, to all of the people that were shipping out of the country. That would be a way station for them. And of course, it has the added benefit of not being able to have any cameras there because it's a fucking military base. If you remember, Guantanamo Bay was used to house supposed terrorists. We ended up letting pretty much all of those people go except for a handful of people. But, we've been talking about shutting down Guantanamo for such a long time. Now it is open for business, and they are ready to house about 30,000 immigrants that they're shipping out of the country. Now, y'all remember Donald Trump and his team, all they talked about was, we're going to go after the criminals. They're all criminals. They're murderers and rapists, and we got to get rid of them. Well, has that been the case? Is that what you've seen? All the footage of ICE arresting moms and zip tying kids and shipping children, American citizen children, out of the country. One had fucking cancer. Shipping a mom who just gave birth out of the country. Shipping another mom out of the country and leaving her 5-year-old kid on the street. You're not going after the criminals. You're showing up at, these immigrants are going to court appointed meetings, and your ICE Gestapo is waiting outside to arrest them. These are not the criminal element. They have already housed about 100,000 immigrants. ICE has already picked up, ICE and DHS has already picked up 100,000 immigrants. They got to put them somewhere. Now, a lot of them are going into private for-profit prisons like Geo Group and Core Civic, which, by the way, their stocks went through the roof when Donald Trump was elected the second time. So, they're all about the prison industrial complex, and we got to stick these people somewhere until we can ship them out of the country. And Donald Trump floated the idea of using Guantanamo Bay. Now, we haven't heard anything about that for a while because we've been talking about Donald Trump sending people to Bekele's dungeon, and Stephen Miller talking about we need to send some of these people to Sudan. You want to ship people from Central and Latin America to Africa? I mean, what are we talking about here? Jesus. Anyway, here's Donald Trump. Here's an article from Politico. Trump team plans to send thousands of migrants to Guantanamo starting as soon as this week. The Trump administration is planning to dramatically ramp up sending undocumented migrants to Guantanamo Bay starting this week, with at least 9,000 people being vetted for transfer, according to the documents obtained by Politico. That would be an exponential increase from the roughly 500 migrants who have been held for short periods of time based since February, and major step towards realizing a plan Donald Trump announced in January to use the facility to hold as many as 30,000 migrants. The transfer to Guantanamo could start as soon as Wednesday, the documents state. The expectation is that detainees would be at the facility temporarily before being deported to their country of origin. The official reason for the transfer is to free up bed space at detention facilities on domestic American soil, because even the private for-profit prisons are running out of bed space. Anyway, which is Longhouse terrorism suspects, would also send another signal aimed at deterring illegal immigration to the United States. Yet again, the people that are going to their court dates are not illegal or undocumented immigrants. They have to have some kind of documentation to even get on the radar to get the court appointment. These people are generally coming here seeking asylum, and they get court dates, and then they show up for their court date because, then none of them are showing up for their court dates. They're all desperate, evil criminals, except for all the ones that are showing up for their court dates, and then we arrest them. We arrest them all, folks. That's what we do, because we got to get them out. And you remember what Stephen Miller said, last week? He took in the top 50 ICE and DHS field agents. He brought them into a room and he blessed them out. And he said, he said, why are the numbers so low? I want 1,200 people kicked out of this country. Fuck that. I want 3,000 people put out of this country. And then one of the agents said to him, he goes, look, man, we're going after all the criminals. What more do you want? He goes, I don't want you just going after the criminals. Why aren't you at Home Depot? Why aren't you at 7-Eleven? And then ironically, LA, they start, arresting day laborers outside of fucking Home Depot. So I guess it worked. I guess the speech from fascistic Stephen Miller, it worked. God damn that guy. Anyway, the plans have come together only in the last few days and could still change, the document says, but the Department of Homeland Security may not notify the countries of the individuals affected in advance, according to the documentation. Spokespeople for DHS and State Department did not immediately respond to requests. Yeah, I guess not. The discussion comes as the White House presses Immigration and Customs Enforcement for higher arrest numbers, with senior policy advisor Stephen Miller. Every time you hear that name, you should hear a thunder crack. He's like fucking vampire. Calling for 3,000 arrests a day. By the way, ICE and DHS broke a record with like 2,200 in one day, but still not 3,000. I wonder if that number has gone up since they invaded LA. The agency is also tight on detention space and pushing for funding from Congress to hire more agents. So not only are we, what about the waste, fraud, and abuse? What about the overspending on all this ridiculous shit? But no, we need more money. We've got to hire more, Gestapo to, slap little SS's on their shoulder and, the black and red, man. We need all of the fascists on deck, ready to go. Goddamn, man. I don't know what we're doing anymore, man. I really don't know. I have no idea. I mean, I know what they are doing, but I do not see any Democratic politician other than Gavin Newsom who's actually getting attacked right now. But I don't see any Democratic leadership doing anything. None. Where are you, Chuck? Where are you, Hakeem? Where are you, man? You just letting this shit happen. You just letting it happen. This is imperialism coming home. We used to use Guantanamo Bay to house terrorism in our bullshit war in Iraq. By the way, the majority of those people were not terrorists. They just called up, under George W. Bush, they called up, they talked to some warlords in Afghanistan, and it's like, tell me who the terrorists are. And the warlords were like, well, we'll just tell these Americans, the people who are our enemies, we'll just say those are the terrorists. So, they ended up with like 600-800 people in Guantanamo, and slowly but surely they all started to realize, it took years and years, but they realized that a lot of these people are not fucking terrorists. But anyway, we are now going to be using Guantanamo for domestic policy. Before it was, honestly, it was illegal. When we asked Barack Obama to shut down Guantanamo Bay and he said he would do it and he didn't do it, this is the result, Barry. This is the result. Look, let me be clear. I'm gonna close down Guantanamo. Gotta handle that stuff. And you didn't get around to it. You didn't codify abortion into law. You didn't go down to the Union March and put on a soft shoe. Don't get me started on Barack Obama. Nevertheless, not closing down Guantanamo has now led to this. And it's no bueno. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed what you saw, please like and subscribe. Keep rocking.